Hi, everybody. How you doing? I am Johann. That is Charleston, joining us today from the beautiful city of Edmonton, Alberta. A good friend of mine for many, many years. Former CFL football player, now entrepreneur, top 40 under 40 businessman, and just one overall funny, one hell of a good guy, Mr. Graeme Bell.
Damn, top 40 under 40? How old are you, guys?
The problem is I looked 40 at 20.
Graeme Bell, Graeme, how you doing? How are things going in Edmonton?
Good. I was in Calgary last week, and a guy said to me, he's like, are you Graeme Bell? And I said, yeah. And he's like, Silver Fox. I played high school football with him. That's the problem.
Wow, you got recognized in Calgary for playing high school ball with him. Wow. Jeez. Yeah. Graeme, I wanted to say something right off the bat. First off, Charleston, can you put up your hands? And Graeme, can you put up your hand? These are the two of my friends that have the ugliest fucking fingers out there and do that. Graeme's got to the side. Yeah, that's permanent. Now, that's a football player. Now, Charleston. Look at that. Boys and girls.
I can't do no side view, but the straight on view is just enough.
Boys and girls, if you're going to play football, that's what's going to happen
to you. Take care of your fingers. Tape your fingers. You got to make sure you tape your fingers.
I remember when Graeme was here in Regina playing for the Riders, and we'd go for supper, and my youngest boy, Kyler, was probably about 8 years old. He'd look and go, Uncle Graeme, why is your fingers so messed up? We'd sit there at Boston Pizza. We go, yeah, Graeme, why is your finger up? How many football hits to the helmet did you take to be able to accomplish that?
Oh, too many. I was too busy with my hands all the time. That was the problem. I was trying to hold everybody. Yeah. That's why.
See, my problem is once I get a grip on a quarterback, I don't let go. So it's like, if you're the first one to the pile, you don't let go, you get the sack. So these my meat hooks.
I always ask that when Charleston's going out or when Graeme, I see you, I say, yeah, put up the hand. It's like a little sideshow if you're going to show off and doing that. Graeme, how you been? How's life in Edmonton?
That's good. I mean, crazy year, but life's been good. I got a lot of young kids now.
Yeah.
More than I need some days. But yeah, life's good. It's just busy chasing them around. I got my wife's just as busy. She's got yoga studios, so
yeah,
we're busy people.
And I, first thing, Charleston, to know something about Graeme. Graeme's family I've known for years because obviously we grew up in Saskatoon together. And if Graeme and Graeme's family, the Bell family, I can honestly say this, they're like the American version of the Brady family. You know, they are the nicest people, the most polite. Growing up with them and community, my parents lived about 2 blocks away from their parents, and we'd always see them. So polite, and Robert and Kathy were always they're all, to this day, they're so polite. They're always asking, how are you doing, Johann? What's up? And
it's all Canadians, though.
Yeah, but
these he making it seem
no. This family, the Bell family, is truly one of the nicest families, from Robert and Kathy to Jeff and Tom and Jen. But the weird thing is, Charleston, how the fuck do they marry into nice people too? Because their wives are just as nice, and they do anything for you. Ange, Graeme's wife, is a yoga instructor and has yoga studios in Edmonton. But she's also one of the nicest people you ever meet. That they'll sit there and anything you need. Oh yeah, you need this, here, take mine. And it's like, what? Like that's that kind of family. So, but we'll get into Edmonton.
Namaste. Just think about yoga instructors in the beginning anyway. They all like at peace, and everything is calm.
Yeah. Well,
you only know her when she's drinking anyway, so that's why she's so nice.
That's why I like her. Is that when I met Anne, she was always drinking, and she still has continued to do that. So that's why I like her. So, Graeme, we want to talk a little bit talk a little bit about your days. Tell us a little bit about who you are and where you grew up. Obviously, we just kind of mentioned that in Saskatoon. and how you got into football, into the CFL, because you played for 9 years, right?
Yeah, 9 total.
9, 3 different teams.
Yeah, a little better than a guy I played with, Chad Rempel. He just retired. I think he played on every CFL team.
Well, Rempel, did he really officially retire?
Yeah, well, not yet. I think he's still holding on to the dream. But literally, it was. I think he at least had a coffee in every locker room.
Yeah, well, that's the life of a long snapper. I mean, come on. So tell us a little bit about you, Graeme, and how you got into football and your early days growing up in Saskatoon and playing for the Hilltops and the Huskies.
I got into it. My parents never put me in hockey. I needed something to subside the aggression. So I started probably grade 6, 7, playing Kinsman football in Saskatoon. In Saskatchewan, that's what you do. You play football. So yeah, I played with the Kinsmen and then went on to Walter Murray, played high school there, and then on to the Huskies and had a stop with the Hilltops for a year, and then back into college. I don't know why I ended up, but it probably had something to do with my grade point average of why I ended up playing Hilltops for a year. But I had a big, I call it a leisure holiday.
Well, that's funny you mentioned that because Hilltops is junior college, right? And usually guys out of high school, you can go into junior or into university, or guys that need a vacation from university, then they'll go back and play junior until their eligibility is done.
Yeah.
And then they'll go back to university and jump right back in. So Graeme, you had some very successful years with the Hilltops, winning Canadian championships there in junior and then going to Canadian championships with the Huskies. Then you get to the CFL, but you didn't take the conventional route in the CFL. You didn't get drafted, did you?
No. My draft year was too early. I ended up getting signed in Montreal as an undrafted free agent. Every team gets 2. So I ended up
What
going
year was that?
2004.
2004.
Yeah, 2004. Don Matthews. Remember him?
The legend. I love the stories. I love the stories about Don Matthews because this is one story, then I'll let Charleston answer a story about Don Matthews. But my story, when I was working for Great Western, I used to, obviously be friends with Scott Fleury. I would take Great Western beer in my hockey bag into the Alouettes dressing room here when they played in Regina because they wouldn't get road beers. They were sponsored by Molson Export, but they wouldn't get road beers. So Scott Fleury would call me up and he said, "Hey, Johann, yeah, we're playing this date. Can I trade you some tickets if you bring in some beer for our locker room for after the game?" So I would bring in like 8 to 10 dozen in a hockey bag, drive up to Old Taylor Field, go into the locker room the day before the game and give it there. And Don Matthews would be sitting there and, "Oh, beer guy? Yeah. Hey, thank you very much, beer guy." And that's my story with Don Matthews. What was your story with Don Matthews, Charleston?
I ain't never played with him.
No? Did you play any stories
I don't even
against?
think Don Matthews was in the league when I first. I didn't come to the CFL till 2008.
Yeah. So I think he was gone by then, right, Graeme?
Yeah, I think so. He passed away. Was it like 2012?
Yeah.
He had those health issues. So he was the player's coach. Everybody always talked about it. I mean, he loved his women. He loved his girls. The guys that played there a long time had quite a brotherhood with him. So yeah, he was. When I got there, I was like, it was just that was far different than college football. Because Don Matt wheeling around on a golf cart, talking smack, just swearing at people, talking about girls, telling stories. It was actually, I was like, this is way different than college. I like it.
But you didn't stay with Montreal too long. Then you got picked up by Winnipeg, didn't you?
Yeah, I got sent home after camp. I got hurt. A few weeks later, Brendan Taman out of Winnipeg. He's a Saskatoon guy and Regina guy. Brendan Taman picked me up and brought me to Winnipeg, and that's where it all started. I spent most 3/4 of the season the first year. 2005 was 04-05 was my first season.
And what was your first thoughts in Winnipeg? You're playing, everybody in Regina, we always make fun of Winnipeg, obviously for many reasons. But what was your first experience like in Winnipeg? Did you like it there?
Oh yeah, I loved it. It was Winnipeg's a great city. Like it's got great food, great culture, humble people. But you know, when I went there, we were a losing team. We were brutal. I think we ended at 2-16. We were awful. So I went into basically an ongoing party.
Nobody cares about football just yet.
It's like the guys, everybody just takes to the streets and has fun. So it was my first year. I'm like, I wanted to go back.
And what
losing or not?
What was it like playing with Milt Stegall and a guy like that?
Oh, Milt's a great leader. You know, Milt's got a great personality. You know, he's got. I always referred to Milt. I used to tell him it's like he's like a wrestler. He's got his on-camera persona and his off-camera persona. So he's good. Milt's a total leader. He really united the guys. I mean, that was a crazy year. The next year was a little better. That was Doug Barry. I think we were 6-12 that year. Something like that. And anyways, so the next year was better, but Milt said he's just a confident leader that people wanted to unite around. And that guy, I can tell you, he knew everything. He was just so smart on the field. And he always used to tell you that he wasn't the fastest, the strongest. But yeah, great guy. And then there was Charles Roberts there too. Those are like polar opposites.
Did you play against him, Charleston?
I did. I played against him his last year.
Yeah,
I'm almost positive that was his last year.
He was a dynamic running back, obviously 5 feet, fuck all, right? And he was just quick, right? I mean, what did you find playing against him?
It was on the back end of his career, so he wasn't
that dynamic.
Really that dynamic and nothing no more. Because I think I played against him in Winnipeg and BC, if I'm not mistaken. But I do remember playing against him for sure and watching film on him, going like, this guy's like a Hall of Fame running back.
Well, he wasn't. I mean, but I always remember when him coming here after the Labor Day games, we'd always go out for a few drinks. He was always up for the social aspect of the game. But you also had, Graeme, tell the story now, because you have a good connection with the backup quarterback there in Winnipeg is now Charleston's head coach. So Ryan
Dinwiddie.
Yeah.
Dinwiddie.
And
I'll leave the stories.
I remember a few times, sorry Graeme to interrupt, but I remember a few times going out with Graeme and Dinwiddie would come with us and be able to do that. So tell tell Charleston what he can expect with Dinwiddie, or tell some good stories about that.
Oh, Dinwiddie. You know what? I think Dinwiddie might be the closest guy to Don Matthews. He's such a player's coach, I'm sure. He was a great teammate all around, that guy. He loved to party though. Oh man, he was the one guy that couldn't turn it off. But I'll tell you, he knew his stuff. Like his game film prep was by far the best. And I hope he sees this, but I think it was his arm strength that held him back. It wasn't his mind. He was Dinwiddie. I used to hang out with him quite a bit. He's an all around great dude. I actually don't talk. I'm the worst for following up and talking to former teammates. I don't do anything online social, so I don't see anyone.
Charleston, so what do you got?
I'll say I've got lots of good stories, but until he's out of the public eye.
Have you talked to Dinwiddie? Have you talked to him a few times, Charleston?
I've talked to him a couple of times. As Coach Dinwiddie, so we got the mutual respect. So, I mean, I'm one of the older players in the league, so you just got to know that players that you've played against and they're your coach now, and just look at him and go like, oh man. So we both got to say like, hey man, you got to know when to talk and when to just chill out. Yeah.
So Graeme, I want to talk about. So you're in Winnipeg. You're having a few years there. Then you come back to Saskatoon for the off season. You're living in Saskatoon. And something that maybe not a lot of people know about is that your life changed in May 2007. Is that correct? Yeah. You were, well, you can tell the story, but you were coming outside of a bar in Saskatoon, in the East End, and tell us what happened.
I was, it was over, what was that the Sutherland Hotel, right by the Sutherland Hotel. Yeah, we'd coached all week. We had Top 100 Saskatchewan football camp, and we'd just gone out to socialize and have dinner. Anyways, and I was leaving the club about midnight, and I just went outside, saw a bit of a melee, a fight going on, and I got involved, and because I saw a girl kind of running off, and a guy chasing her with a baseball bat. So I kind of intervened, stopped the guy, and next thing I know, his friend came from over the back and smashed me with the baseball bat over the head. So I got rushed into surgery, and I had an epidermal hematoma, which is essentially blood clot on the brain and bleeding on the brain, and then they had to repair I have 3 metal plates in my skull from it. So
you're sitting there, and what did the doctor tell you when you're in the hospital? Because at this point, what do you remember? You remember, what were your first thoughts when you realized where you were?
Well, it was a gang related incident, and so there was security at the door, and somehow this guy that I knew in Saskatoon that I played college football with, him and his girlfriend had snuck in, and so the first thing I remember when I wake up a few days later is Jason Bettner looking over the table, looking over at me. So I later found out he snuck in. And got into the room, but after that, I remember bits and pieces of the night. Over the years, I put it all together with more stories I hear about it. But at that point, I couldn't speak. I couldn't make out a sentence or a word for that matter, just because the impact on the brain.
So what did the doctor say? What did the doctor say to you then about you being able to walk or anything? Did he say anything about you?
Well,
you can't walk, you can't talk at this point, right? You're in the hospital.
Yeah, motor skills screwed.
Yeah. What did the doctor say to you?
Well, he came in to kind of assess me as soon as I came to. They originally because I couldn't speak, and so he gave me a piece of paper and a pen. So first thing I wrote, just and Charleston, you're probably wired the same way, because we're about 3-4 weeks away from camp. I said, when can I go back to football?
Oh, wow.
that was my concern. You get stripped away something that you want, and we look at injuries differently, right? It's like, hey, well, everybody's worried. Everybody looking in is worried about me being able to talk and how I'm going to live life again. Internally, I'm like, when am I going to go back and play football? So the doctor, he read it and basically said, he's like, Graeme, he's like, football might not be in your cards anymore. So, and then really from that point on, you can't tell a guy that, and a football guy that, you're even a sports guy. It's like, this is being stripped away from you, for some gang member stripped this away from you. So from that point on, it was just another injury for me that we were going to come back from.
So what did you're told by the doctor here that you might not play football again. What was the next steps? How did you recover from that? Did you, I know that I read in the article in the paper about you're now then living at your parents' place, and your mom and dad are basically having to look after you, right? And kind of treat you like a child, start to be able to help you speak again and walk again and move again. What was that like? How scary was that?
Totally. Well, I was 27, 28 years old, but 27 at the time. First and foremost, I'm like, I moved back in with my parents, and I'm like, why did I ever move out of this house? I get free food. I'm like,
your mom's a nurse, so yeah, she can take care of you. Yeah.
It was, I'm there, I'm sleeping. You basically got, you've got a head injury at this point, and you can't speak. You're getting a lot of visitors come over, and so it was pretty critical that I did go live with my parents. And they were, again, they're seeing it as like, how is he ever going to live life? He can't speak. They don't actually know the impacts at that point because it's so new. The best thing to do was go stay there, and they kind of mended me back. What it was great because I knew what I knew what I wanted to say. I just couldn't say it. So growing back, like getting back into the speaking was a little easier than it is as a kid. So it took me time. It was about almost a year to the day is when I got back on the football field. The doctor, the surgeon monitored me the whole time. It was about 6 months really before I got I was back to speaking as clearly as I was. So I mean, end of the day, it was an opportunity for me to change my life is what it comes down to. And, my life from here on out, I was getting cards from people in Winnipeg and Toronto. The CFL's got such a great fan base. And when something like that happens, it was amazing to see how united people could get. So I've got cards from teams and baskets and gifts from people I'd never even seen before, or met before. So, when something bad happens, there's always a blessing and a curse, right? There's a curse that this happened, but there was a blessing to come out of it. So it was a good opportunity for me to change and just become a better person.
That's what I was going to say. Like, although you couldn't speak, like cognitively, you were still like in the right function, in the right headspace, right?
Totally. Yeah. I knew, it was frustrating. That was the biggest thing. So there was a guy in Saskatoon. He used to pick me up. Warren Muzika used to come to my house all the time and then take me for a walk because I wasn't allowed to work out. So it took me 6 months to kind of get back to the gym. But I knew what was happening, what was right and what was wrong. It was just the speech was the biggest thing, and the fact that you just suffered a major blow to your head. So the recovery on it was just lengthy. Nobody knew how it was going to work out in the end. It's just that's head injuries in general. You just don't know how it's going to impact you. Yeah.
And so didn't the doctor tell you at one point that you wouldn't walk again, and you wrote a note to him?
Oh, I told him, he said I wouldn't play football today, but he said, you're not going to be able to play football. And I said, no, I'll be back. So it's just that
you wrote on the note. I don't know, Charleston, is this the mentality? Is it, you're lucky enough that you've never been hurt before, right? And you've never had to be able to.
I never really suffered no major injury, that would have kept me out for months and months at a time. But I think that's just all football players, right? I mean, you got this certain mentality that you carry that you got to play through pain. You got to play through broken hands, broken fingers. You just take it, grab it, pop it back in place and run back out. Where over the years, this gritty, style of play of football from way back in the day, it has every football player, around that time wired to be able to play through pain and your threshold, play way past what your threshold is. And sometimes you gotta pull yourself away. I've had to battle with myself and retract and go look, man, you're being stupid. Just kind of pull back, because sometimes I push myself way too much.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens.
So Graeme, tell me about this. You're 6 months then into the injury. You got your buddy Warren picking you up, and you got all this family support. What was the thought process then? Did you think that you were going to go back and play? And how the hell did you know anything about, were you going to be able to get a concussion? And, could you die? Or could you have a serious impact? What was your thoughts when you were starting to recover that way? And did you ever think like that?
Oh, totally. Well, I mean, I used to see you all the time. I think you were dropping off beer at my house as well.
Well, I had to. For you and your family, I had to make sure that you guys were all taken care of and be able to do that. So,
your mindset is you wanted to. I mean, you set out at that point. It's just another goal you wanted to hit. You don't want anybody to strip something away from you, especially football. I mean, your age should be what takes you off the field. And you see guys like Tom Brady that are, going past that. But at the end of the day, I didn't want that to be the door that closed on me. So I just pushed forward, and if I got there, I got there. But then you get to football, and I'll tell you, it was nip tuck. I remember the surgeon telling me, he's like, Graeme, it's going to be trial and error. I don't know what's going to happen to you. You're going to get a blow in the head. You could have symptoms again, and you could never play again. But it was something I was willing. My parents were so against it. They were against everything.
Like any parent would, right? Like any parent would. You had a steel plate in your head now, and your kid, if my kid, Kyler or Mateo, ever came to me and said, "Hey, Dad, I got a steel plate in my head, and I want to go play contact football," then I'd be like, "Fuck no, you're not going back. You're not doing that."
Technically, his skull is way harder than the next person. at that point.
Yeah. You don't need the helmet he's in. He's good. Ding, ding. So,
I mean, it was just, for me, I wanted to be the one that took myself off the field. And, and I think that's every sports guy or sports person. It's like, you want to be the one that walks off the field. And it was, for me, I wanted to go back and try. And so I did. But I'll tell you, I remember going back and the first kickoff when I went back on, I was just so jacked up. I ran down there, made the tackle, and from then on, I was like, I'm back. I'm doing this. But what happened though over the next few months was like I was taking Tylenol all the time. I had headaches and I remember laying in bed one night and be like, you know what? I am giving myself to this date. If this doesn't happen, I got to stop, because this is not like you worry about how this is going to impact your life. So it was crazy. It like literally within days, I never had another headache again. And so it was just like, I'm sitting in bed just praying that I'm like, I can make this through, and I can get through this. And I did. So, from here on out, I had no head injuries, and I played 6 more years.
It was almost like a mind over matter, right? You put yourself in that frame of mind. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get there and do that. And you did. And I remember, Charleston, it was funny because we were watching the opening kickoff of Graeme coming back. He had 1 year, he got obviously sat out for a year, and then he got back in, and he was a special teamer, right, for most of his career. And it was against Toronto Argonauts, and the game's in Winnipeg, or was it in Toronto?
In Winnipeg, yeah. In Winnipeg.
And they just did a story. Ron Williams, right, who just did a story on CBC prior to the game about Graeme and how, the doctor said he couldn't walk again. And we're watching this and we're getting all pumped up for our buddy Graeme. And then the opening kickoff comes down. And then just out of nowhere, they see, I don't know who was the returner. I keep on thinking it was Arlen Bruce, but I don't know if it was Bruce, or do you remember who the returner was? It was someone else.
I don't know.
It was a fast guy from the Argos side, deep back, but he got the ball back, and next thing you know, you see number 26 in blue and gold come out of the top corner, because you were a gunner, weren't you, Graeme, or what? You were on the far 2 guys, right?
Yeah, I don't even know. It was like number 4. It was doing so many different systems, but
but you just see
at that point I didn't care. I was just running.
you probably were so jacked up that you went down there, and he made the opening tackle of the game, and you just see him jump up there, and I think all of Saskatoon and all of Saskatchewan was doing the same thing. We're all like, yeah, Graeme's back, and he did that, and it was an awesome moment for us and for you, I can imagine.
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, it was just kind of like you just a long year journey, and it gave you it just qualified that you had done what you wanted.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we're going to cut out for a little bit of a commercial break, but once we get back, we're going to talk to you about the rest of your CFL journey, your parties here in Saskatchewan after the Grey Cup win. I'm going to talk about Charleston's parties.
Came in 04. That puts you past 40.
He's around 40, yeah. We're going to talk.
Got that salt and pepper look going on, man. I thought I had it in my hair, man. Woo.
We'll talk about the rest of your CFL career. How you came over everything and played another 6 years, and what you're doing now, and how you're a successful businessman, and hopefully what maybe you can teach some of the CFL players and some other athletes about life after professional ball.
Man, teach me.
All right, we'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Rob Peterson. I'm the broker owner of Realty One in Regina. Real estate and life is about great people, and that's why I'm associated with Charleston Hughes and Johann Lozinski and IKS to sponsor the Better with Age podcast. Realty One was founded in Regina 11 years ago. It's an independent brokerage, it's local, and it's full of great people helping great local Regina people buy and sell properties. It's entrepreneurial based, which means you have non-narcissistic agents that have your best interest in mind, not their own. In these coronavirus times, real estate market right now in Regina and Saskatchewan is thriving because people are thinking more local. They're not thinking about traveling because we can't, and that's driving our market. When you hire a realtor, no matter who it is, no matter what company, please interview them. Please make sure they're a good personal fit for you. because that's what this is all about. It's good people connecting themselves with someone that they know has their best interest in mind. And that's what the Realty One family does, and that's what a lot of agents in Regina do. But make sure you take your time and find the best fit for you and your family.
It's that time of year when divisions are decided, champions are crowned, and legends are born. Now, it's your turn to win big. You've heard the name just about everywhere, MyBookie. They're the industry's leading online sportsbook and casino, and it's not hard to understand why. With thousands of lines to bet on all your favorite sports, NFL, NBA, and college ball. Check, check, and check. MMA and soccer, they've got all the latest odds, period. Take advantage of MyBookie's prop builder and live in-game betting, where every single run, throw, and touchdown is another chance for you to put cash in your pocket. Visit their mobile-friendly website today and get your deposit matched halfway up to $1,000. Just use the promo code when you make your first deposit. The best part is they make it simple, with a variety of ways to deposit instantly, including credit card, bank transfer, Bitcoin, and more. Whether you're at home or on the go, on your laptop or on your phone, it's not too late to make your New Year's resolution a resolution to get paid. Bet, win, and get paid at MyBookie.
All right, we're back here with the inspiring story of Mr. Graeme Bell. Now, this is the part I want to get into. Let's talk.
Wait. Graeme Bell. I'm trying to remember. Have we ever went against each other before? I haven't had the block.
Oh yeah, I tell you this one. You and Cameron Wake, I remember distinctly. Both times I'm like, here's the story. I'm like setting it up for you, but we're in a game. We're in Calgary. I've got to cut you off, and I'm like, okay, here's the angle. We've worked on all the angles that we need to cut you off. And I remember going out and chop blocking you and being like, oh man, I got him. Anyways, you went down, you got up, you made the sack.
Did you watch? Did you watch it in film and go, holy fuck, or did you get in shit?
Embarrassing. I'm like, next time the coach actually told me that he's like, next time fall on him.
Okay, let's get into it then, Graeme. What was your story with Cameron Wake?
Oh, same thing. It was just like, this guy you guys just like your spin. Cameron was just a total freak at times. But same thing. I was in BC. I'm like, oh man, I'm riding him. And all he was doing was setting me up to throw me off so he could make the sack. He's riding me down the line. He throws me off to the basically the linebackers to look after me, and it makes the sack. I'm like, this is like undersized. I'm like, I'm like, position block. I'm ready. I'm like, I got this. Basically, he was just toying with me.
Who are some of the best athletes you saw in the CFL, Graeme, or played against?
Oh, I mean, right there, Cameron. He was a total freak. Just unbelievable. Charleston, it was just your pass rush, everything about it, your spin. That's why you've done so well, and you'll end up in the Hall of Fame. I don't know if you were an athlete or just smart.
Oh shit! You don't want to even bring this up because we were just talking about that before in the previous show. Is that Charleston? You give him anything, Graeme, any sport to do, he'll fucking do it, and he'll do it, and he'll say, "Yeah, give me 6 months, you can do it." We're talking with Jordan and Ryan Reeves a few shows back, and Ryan Reeves, the enforcer for the Las Vegas Golden Knights, and they start beaking Charleston. Charleston's like, "Yeah, give me 6 months, I can take you. He can do that." And next thing you know, we're talking curling, and we're going, "Oh yeah, Charleston, have you ever curled?" He's like, "No, never curled it." We get him on the ice here with Chris Hebert, Ben Hebert's younger brother, and Charleston's curling. After 2 times of throwing the rocks down there, he threw one in the rings, just like that. He's an athlete, and he's not afraid of a challenge.
There's not a sport out there I can't play. That's what it boils down to right now. It's like there's not a sport out there that I can't play.
Oh man, yeah. There were so many athletes in the CFL, like Charles Roberts. Like the guy was a freak on what he could do. I mean, never warmed up. The guy never warmed up. He just the only thing he warmed up with his mouth. He's like a parakeet on your shoulder at times. So he's like, but the guy never warmed up. He would just go in there unwarmed and do these things that you just crazy what he would do. So yeah, there's so many athletes, just so many well-rounded athletes when it comes to the CFL, just because the big field and whatnot.
So tell me about this. We were talking, well, actually, Charleston was on another show that we're good friends with, Joe and the Fired Up Network. And he was talking about, Charleston was talking to some NHL guys, and they happened to mention Montreal. And they mentioned the strip clubs there. Tell us some of your funny stories about what was the best nightclubs or what were the best cities that you love to go to. I know that when you were here in Saskatchewan, you were a shopaholic. When you would come back from a trip to Montreal, everybody on the Riders, Durant and all these guys would always text Graeme and say, hey, what's that jean shop that you always go to in Montreal? Because the guy would keep it, he would keep it open for them, and they would come in and buy hundreds of dollars of jeans, and they'd get cheap ass jeans all the time. I think Graeme had like 30 some pairs of jeans when he left the Riders. Yeah. But tell us some of what your funnest trips all around the CFL. What are some of the funner cities? I know Charleston's mentioned Montreal, but what are your favorite cities that you went to and some fun stories?
Oh, I mean, Montreal by far is by far. But they used to, the CFL, the team started getting smart because it's like, as much as we were flying across the country, they would only limit you to 2 days there. When I first started in the CFL, they'd give you about 3 days out there, which is good because you get you go the first night, you're going out on the town. And then the second night you got practice. The second night you got to kind of relax and unwind and get ready for the game. But later on, they just started flying you in and flying you out. Because Montreal is basically that city is, it rhymes with fun, just like Regina.
Yeah.
I remember one time, like, cause I was like the end of that era. Like my first couple years was the end of that era about flying in, and you can go out the night you fly in, and then you got to chill out the next couple of days, that 3 day in a city.
Yeah.
And I remember one time we was in Montreal, and it was like me and a couple other players and one of the coaches all missed the flight the next morning, and we had to buy our flights home. And everybody was calling, trying to wake us up to get up to go to make it to the plane the next day. Me and a couple other guys, we show up at the airport and start looking. We see the coach, and we're like, oh, he missed a flight too. Like, they can't get mad at me if he missed too.
How many flights? I bet you didn't miss one flight, Graeme, but you.
No, I've missed one. I've missed only one. But I remember that walk of shame onto the bus the next day to go, and everybody's like, you're looking to see who the most hungover is. Who actually showed up. So I used to I've missed the bus a lot of times, but I've always got to the airport.
I remember one time we were watching Graeme play in the Winnipeg, and it was a Labor Day game, and we were going out. Graeme was going to stay after. I think you stayed at my place, Graeme, and you brought over some teammates, and you brought over 2 cornerbacks that were new to Canada. So we're sitting there in September long weekend. We're having some beers. I bring out this malt lager that I have that's like 6.5%, and these 2 American DBs, they grab it. Oh, malt liquor. Yeah, give me some of that. They were pounding back this malt liquor that was like high alcohol and doing that. And then we're watching a preseason game, and it was the Cincinnati Bengals. And then the one guy turns and looks at me and goes, hey, last year I played on the Cincinnati Bengals. And I said, yeah, and this year you're in my basement drinking beers with me.
Drinking malt.
Yeah, malt liquor in Canada. How do you feel about that? But then was the CFL known for a big party a lot of times, or were you lucky that you got to be able to experience that side and hang out with so many good guys?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the benefit and the beauty of football is you get different religions, different upbringings, you got different beliefs, different cultures, all on one team. And you got 6 months to become a united front. right? And so that's what I loved about the CFL. You just have to, you're a bit of a chameleon at times, and there's arguments and there's a lot of pressure in the 6 months. But yeah, that was the best part about it was just the personalities you get in the locker room. Later in life, that's what I've tried to create is like that locker room. There's 3 things I miss from football: the locker room, the strategy, and just the overall excitement for a win. And if you can create those, that was my thing. I wanted to bridge out of football, and those are the things I wanted to create.
Yeah.
Was that culture.
Nice. So tell us about what was your most memorable CFL moment? Obviously, you got to play on the Riders when you were part of the team in 2013 when they won the Grey Cup, but you already had some pretty bad wrist injuries. What was your most memorable CFL moment?
Oh, when my parents grew up in Saskatchewan too. So when I doing the Grey Cup in Saskatchewan, 13 and winning was by far the highlight. It was actually my last game too. So, and that was exciting. Coming back to the CFL after I got injured was exciting. I'd spent 2 years in Edmonton. That was enjoyable because it was I seemed to land where I needed to for the time in my life. And, Winnipeg, I was young and I wanted to have fun, and I ended up there with a losing team. In 2007, we went to the Grey Cup. That was the year that I got hurt. We had a winning team that year. In Edmonton, it was just all about fun, and Richie Hall was the coach back then. I had a great time every city I went to. You just embrace the city and you enjoy the city, and you just, from the nightclubs to the restaurants to the community events that you're doing. Every city I went to was just incredible. The CFL is the best. It's just such a great game. We've got a great, committed following, and the fans are great. So, that's why every year I try to go to the Grey Cup. It's like a 3-day St. Patrick's Day. No fighting, just enjoyment.
That's fucking hilarious. Hey, do you snowboard by chance?
No, never did. No, ski.
What?
I'm thinking you. I have some memory of you, Sam Hurl, and
Sammy.
Yes, you, Sam Hurl, and it was somebody else with long hair.
There's a few guys with long hair. That Scott Henry had long hair. There was
he's from
Greg
Saskatoon.
Newman.
That's his name.
Yeah.
Newman.
Yes, Greg Newman.
Yeah.
I think I got a memory of you 3 guys together one time in Calgary, and I might have popped up on y'all. I can't remember. I'm gonna remember in a minute, but
I think we met you out because we hung out in Calgary often. That crew.
Yeah, the 3 of you guys. Yeah, I think I seen y'all in Hudson's before. Well, not Hudson's, on Kraft.
Totally. Sammy Hurl. Yeah. I love Sammy's a great guy. Newman's went to University of Saskatchewan too. He's a great guy. Smart. He's writing engineering exams, totally hungover. Just a smart kid.
Oh, wow.
Charleston, what was so you've heard Graham's stories about that. Could you relate to a lot of these stories about, the days, and is that something you're going to look forward to the last few years of your career?
Yeah, man. I miss, you're going to miss the teammates, man, especially. And sometimes it's hard for me because I done been in so many different locker rooms. I've been in the CFL for 13 years. So it's like I've seen tens of thousands of players come and go and come and go. I've had a guy come up to me before that I was teammates with him, and he was like, man, you used to kill me at practice. And I was looking at him like, I have no fucking clue who this is. Like, I don't remember him at all. Like, and he's talking about, man, you used to make it hard for me at practice. You used to kill me at practice. You used to trash talk me the whole entire practice. And I'm looking like, I don't remember. Like, and it's hard sometimes to like remember that. But the personal attachments that you do get with guys that you do have memories with and stuff like that. It's stuff that you'll remember for the rest of your life, man. Like I said, that story about when me and that coach and a couple other teammates, we all missed
the flight.
We all missed the flight. We're dying laughing, like, because we're like, oh yeah, he looks hungover. He missed that flight, and we got to all call the flight, our secretary and stuff, and like, can you book us a flight because we missed the flight? And then you got to go through that whole process, but. I mean,
and then they take it off your check.
And then they take it off your check the next week. So you're just like, oh, well, fuck it. You know, it is what it is. But we put John Huffnagel through a lot, man. I remember a couple times where, I mean, it went from like, we'll get a win and we don't fly out to the next morning at 6 a.m., 5 a.m. We got to be at the airport. So everybody got to be up. And it's like a no sleep kind of night. And all you got time to do is throw everything in your bag, put on your suit, and go straight to the plane after that. And you're flying commercial. So you're flying with WestJet. So you're flying with other people. So they always tell you got to put your suit back on and look your best. And I remember one time I showed up to the airport with fucking my suit on, my shirt halfway open, my eyes like halfway closed. Like I'm like still wasted from the night before. I got no socks on. I got flip-flops on, my dress shoes in my hand. And all I remember is just Huff looking at me and saying, Charleston, what the fuck is your problem? Go in the bathroom and clean yourself up and get your shit together. Put some fucking shoes on. And then I was looking at him and I like sobered up. I was like, oh shit.
Get your act together.
Yeah, like get your act together. And I'm like, no socks, flip-flops on, my dress shoes in my hand. And I'm like,
Graeme, give a shout out to somebody that reminds you of Charleston, or, you know, in your years playing in the CFL. Who do you remember that would be like that? Or some of the guys on other teams, like you mentioned Sam Hurl. I'm sure Sam Hurl and Newman and some of those guys there were a blast to party with all the time.
Shit, Sam Hurl's probably my partner in crime in a couple of those.
He's incriminated. Versus he is always. If there's a party, Sam will sniff it out.
Yeah. Versus, you know, the days of, you know, when you're in Edmonton, Ricky Ray. I'm assuming Ricky Ray is not that type of guy, but our good friend, the guy that you introduced me to, Patrick Kabongo. Kabongo would probably be a guy that would be right there with you the whole time, living and then loving life.
I'll tell you, that guy, when he went through, Patrick went in as like, he had his times where he was partying and then he had months where he wasn't. But when he came out, it was no hold barred shots. And like, that guy is like Andre the Giant, the amount he drank. And so he's like, anyways, but the beauty of it is he doesn't, you know, he's 400 pounds. He doesn't stop moving. The whole night, he's got a towel on his neck because he's sweat right through his shirt, and he will dance the entire night away.
I've seen that.
The guys used to call him the Lobster because he just in Charleston, you probably know it because he's just like, he'd come at you like this. They used to call him the Lobster. But I'll tell you, man, that guy, if they could take him on the dance floor and put him into football that way, he wouldn't have had to been the Lobster. Because that guy could move, just not on the football field.
Yeah.
I've seen the Kabongo at your wedding when he was dancing like that, had the towel right here, and man, he can move. He's getting down and up, and I'm like, holy fuck, the guy can move. He's 400 pounds and be able to do that.
We definitely got to get Kabongo on the show, man, because he's a funny guy. I remember playing against him, and he used to make me laugh so much on the field because he grunts and he like when he's blocking, and it's like, man, why are you making all this damn noise? It ain't that hard.
Yeah, he's like, and then coming on the field, he's like living. He's just such a character. Yeah.
Can you think of any other characters, Graeme, that stand out? Whether that was Winnipeg, Edmonton, or here at the Riders?
Oh, I mean, there was. You mean from a party perspective, or just all around good character?
Both.
Yeah, I would say that you know, guys like if you remember Micah Boo, he was a good character. Micah Boomercheck, he's a good character. He's still in Regina, I would assume. Yeah, he was a great character. Weston Dressler, he was like just all around just great guys that loved to joke and have fun. They were good guys in Winnipeg. Dinwiddie was always a character, and you know he was a great leader, but he was always such a character. Guys like if you guys remember Kai Ellis.
Kai Ellis, I do.
I think he played Ottawa. Kyrese Bear, he played with Kyrese out in Ottawa, and then he came into Edmonton with us. Kai I've never seen a guy put together like this. He was about 275, 6'5", could move, but he used to pee himself before the game. He used to puke on himself before the game so nobody touched him. I remember my first exposure to him. He was like, I was in Edmonton, and I'm sitting beside this guy, and it's training camp. We got concrete floors at the locker room, and all of a sudden it pulls out his wiener and starts peeing on the ground, and I'm looking at him. I'm like, what is going on? He takes off his shorts, cleans it up, puts them back on, goes up to camp. So he puked on himself. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. But he did
Charleston's looking at him going like,
Yeah, like, man, what
And
the
in the
hell?
DNs, I thought all DNs were the same.
No. That is not something I'm accustomed to. But you know who used to do that? You know Jeff P. Long?
Yeah.
Jeff P. Long, offensive lineman for Calgary. I've seen him before piss his pants on the field in between plays, take his gloves, wipe his gloves into his piss that he did all on his hands, rub his hands together like this and get ready to block somebody. And like, come on. Like, who's gonna? And then I'm thinking as a defensive end, like, if I see an offensive lineman do that, there's no way I'm letting him put his hands on me.
Yeah, like another guy, Kelly Malvo. He's a Calgary guy. I was in Winnipeg with him. Kelly Malvo, I remember sitting on the sidelines of Winnipeg with him. And he's like, hold on, stand up for a second. And I stood up and I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, oh, I'm just peeing myself. I'm like, so it's just we're not all that way. We're not
people watching the show in the States are going to be, those CFL players are messed up.
Man, you'd be surprised the amount of people who pee their pants on a football field and try to rinse it off with some water, but it's very common.
Yeah, but these guys are doing it on purpose. And then, they're going like that.
buddy.
So you got some characters like that. How anybody that stand out for guys that you want to go afterwards, or in different cities that, when you're playing against them after, you go, yeah, man, we're going to hook up. We're going to go out a few times.
Well, Charleston's got a better situation now. He's been around for so long. He knows everybody from players from every team.
Yeah.
But it is funny. We're like, the CFL's so small, but you would go to another city and go out with the other teams often. And, and so you'd always line it up. They could be former teammates of yours, but you'd always line it up and go out for drinks. And I think that was the beauty of it. Like, as much as there's fighting and trash talk on the field, you could often go out and have beers with a lot of these guys or go out and party with them after. So it depends on the scene. Like, if I was coming to Regina, Johann, I was always calling you up, get beer in the locker room, and then we'd always go out.
Why does that always happen to me? I don't know.
So and then you'd get the Sammy Hurls to come with you, and you'd go out with them. So it was the longer you played in the CFL, the more friendships you got, and you always want to connect and party together at the end. And the best is when you're actually going against a former teammate, because there's good humor, there's a fight, but like Charleston's talking about, you just got to win. And so
you just got to win. That's
competitive strategy and guys, like, I remember the second, third game as of the CFL, Mike O'Shea, that's how old I am. Wow. O'Shea was still playing. O'Shea played for a long time. And I remember getting by him on the line, and I get by him. I'm like, sweet, I just got past him. And then he just kicks my legs from under me. And, and that stands out in me because I did it to so many former teammates for fun. Because it was like, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, guys. And so I used to do it all the time. Those longtime guys, all their little tricks of the trade that you pick up, O'Shea was really good at. So,
yeah, that's awesome. So now let's talk about life after football. One of the things that here in the CFL, obviously Charleston's starting to get used to that now. It's obviously not life after, but what do you do? Nobody ever expected a pandemic to hit. And then now you got to find time to be able to, you got to understand what you want to do after football. Graeme, how did you adjust to life after football, and how did that take you to where you are today?
You know what? I think the first thing I would say that is the CFL has to do a better job. And I'm starting to see it with the alumni or with the Players Association now. You enter the CFL is the day you have to start planning your exit, because it's a meat market. We don't know how long we're going to be there. And you need to start planning your exit And because that's what I start to see. I see now, I'm sitting on the alumni board here in Edmonton, and that's what I see is guys don't have anything going for them at the end of their career. It could be short, it could be, a short career or long career, but that I would say is a bit of a problem. And it could be the same with, many of the other sports of exiting. But at the end of the day, you have to, and where I see is guys that come out, they go through almost like a depression. And the reason for that is they were somebody, and it's almost like when you're taken away your name and what you've loved, if there's something that's taken away from you, it's almost because you almost go into a sense of depression. You don't know what to do. So, I was ready. I was probably ready 3 years prior to retire. I was just doing it because I had nothing left. I didn't have anything. I didn't have anything going for me. So, I hung on for far too long. But then I got out. I got into construction and home building, and I build houses now. I own a company here in Edmonton, and it's been good because it was giving me the opportunity to kind of create that culture and utilize that strategy. There's so many similarities and comparisons to sports and business, and when it comes down to it, and I think football actually helped me do it, but. I think I would hope in the future that the CFL does a better job of transitioning all their players into real life.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I had to pick it up just by, just being around people and being around like older guys on the team that, they went into retirement and stuff like that. And, I've watched so many guys like at an early stage in my career, I watched so many guys, walk away from the game and just be lost. And then just don't know what to do with themselves. And then you hear the same thing all the time. Like, real life kicks in when you're done playing football. And it was like, man, I'm not going to put myself in that position where, I don't know at least what I'm going to do, or I'm not going to know how to feel like a normal person. So I've always had that standpoint where, like, I've worked every single offseason that I've played in the CFL. So I've never, like, had an off season. So I've always worked during the season and the off season, where at that point, that's my time to like reintroduce myself to, all right, I'm not football Charleston anymore. Now I'm business Charleston. Now I'm actually working. Now I have to actually perform a task other than football and, think like, a normal 9-to-5 person would. So I started to transition myself the same way pretty early, where now I can go out and get a job, or I can go out and prep my resume, or I can, like the guys who, don't even have things to put on their resume. Like, I worked on that stuff way earlier, thinking like, you can't just put football on the resume. Like, it's not gonna show up. Like yeah. Who's gonna look at that and go, 13-year football veteran, CFL Hall of Famer. They're going to go like, okay, what's that doing for me?
Yeah. So are you teaching that, Charleston, to now that you're in your older years? I'll say that nicely, because you could play for another 5 years the way that you're in shape and do that. Are you teaching that now that you're kind of in the latter part of your career? Are you teaching that to your, the younger teammates?
Yeah, I try to teach it to all the rookies, especially like guys like, Graeme back in his day. Like, it was very common for guys to go to practice. We practice from 9 to 1, and then you see guys leaving the locker room with a suit on. And you're going like, hold on, they're going to work now? And it kind of phased out when I got to the CFL in like 2008. And I was like, man, a couple of these guys are putting suits on and going to work. And I was like, it's kind of smart. I guess you're saving your football money. Then I started doing the same thing and like trying to implement it back into like the culture of like, although we're working from 9 to 1, you can still work a part-time job. You can still do something else outside of football, and it'll work towards your benefit, right?
Be successful, yeah. That's good. That's awesome. So,
yeah,
Graeme, so now tell us a little bit about this. We mentioned at the beginning of the show, top 40 under 40. You're with Alair Homes. That's a pretty prestigious title, I guess, to be able to have in Edmonton. To be able to do that. How'd you reach that goal?
You know what? I just took what I did out of playing football. Like when I came back after my injury, I just started dedicating myself to just benefiting the community more. So I started, going and doing boys and girls things and just going to speaking to kids. So as soon as I got finished with football, I continued on with doing that. And then I got into home building and kind of built up this company and focused, we've had a pretty good growth curve over the last 6-7 years. And because of it and what we're doing in society and are doing in our communities, just positioning yourself as like a community builder. That's why I got it, just from all the events I've gone through and being in the CFL and getting into construction. So, I mean, it was great. It was a friend of mine had nominated me for it. So, I mean, it was exciting. I mean, not that you do anything for awards, but, your parents want to see it. So it was a big thing for my parents to see.
Nice. And the one thing that now you're hanging out because of that top 40 on 40, you've got some pretty good friends. Now you're hanging out and you're renting out your house to other celebrities in Edmonton, like Connor McDavid and some of the Oilers, right? You're kind of a big deal now in Edmonton with some of these guys.
Yeah, you know what? I wish they're great tenants. They pay on time.
Unlike football players, or what?
No. It's always just been the hockey guys, but I've only done it the last few years. But I appreciate it because it's kind of shitty. You go to you go to the city, you've got to find a place to. It's a lot, Charleston. You can speak to it. It's like you go back, you make the team. You got a week to find out where you're going to live. And not that McDavid's struggling to make a team, but they're looking for a nice place to stay. So that's why Ange and we have moved out over the last few years and let these guys have our house.
Yeah, that's awesome. And one of the things, Graeme, that I forgot to mention is there's so many similarities, I think, between you and Charleston, the way that you guys are now drinking with me. Charleston's drinking with me now. You used to drink with me, but also your personalities too. I forgot to mention that you were, in 2012, you won the Jake Gardner Veterans Award. And
the CFL Jake Gardner Award.
And that was for your involvement on and off the field, right? And one of the things that I see so much of Charleston and how I got to meet him is he is doing the same thing here in Regina. He's not even playing for the Riders anymore, but he's still involved with YMCA. He's still involved with so many communities and charities. And same thing with you. That was a big part of your CFL goal, obviously, to be recognized and win that award, right?
Totally. It was, I got really into it after I got hurt. I just was like, why is this community standing behind me and trying to push me? I'm like, why am I not benefiting the cities I'm in? And so that's really where I kind of switched. That's why I said it was an opportunity for me to change, just be a better person. Not that it wasn't before. It was just I could do more. And, I can coach, I could do all those things to help and, teach lessons to kids. So, I love it. Johann, I think you've forgotten, like you haven't mentioned today. I lived with Charleston. I lived with Johann for the 3 years I was in.
Oh, wow.
So in his basement. And
he was my tenant and he paid on time. And Now it's kind of funny how you're getting tenants in your place, but
totally. I'm thinking about this as I was prepping for this call. Do you remember the time that your house got broken into, Johann?
Yeah.
I had all these jerseys. It was near end of season. I was going to take them home. I had a Dressler jersey and I had Sheets jerseys. Guy breaks into the house, comes in. He takes every jersey but the Graeme Bell jerseys. Hey, the truth is, even the criminals in Regina know the team.
I felt so bad. I came home from work at noon, and then there's all these jerseys because you had Durant's, you had Dresslers, you had Sheets, you had all these other ones for all your teammates that you were going to go and give for another charity auction, right? So you were going to go and do. And the guy came through the basement window. I didn't have an alarm system in the house yet. But he came through, took a bunch of Graeme stuff, took a bunch of my stuff, took about my son's stuff, and went through the house. But yeah, they left the Graeme Bell jersey.
Just feels so disrespectful.
Like Graeme said, even the thieves, you and the criminals knew. Okay, Canadian player, it won't. Yeah, I don't need that. It won't sell on. It won't sell on Kijiji or in the.
Totally.
So those were the good old days, Graeme. Well, Graeme, thank you. It's always a blast to be able to see you and to be able to hear these stories. One of the times I always got to be able to go out with you and drink Me and Larson and you would go out. We'd be, having a few beers all over the city of Regina. It was always just a blast to be able to do that. But thanks for coming on the show. Say hi to your family. Say hi to Ange and the kids. Tell your wife that Tom Brady sucks. We all know that. She's a big Brady fan. We'll do that. But thanks again for coming on the show. We appreciate it. Charleston always has some wise words for the people that come on our show to finish off the show.
Yeah, man, this was awesome. Heck yeah, talking to you for the first time. I don't think we never chatted it up before like that. So it was good. It was good doing that. Hold on, what's all that say behind you? We made it soar. We make it awesome. We make it creative. And we make
this is
What's all that stuff?
Oh, we got this open environment office here. No, there's no offices, and just boardrooms for people to use. Anyways, we put a bunch of sayings on all the walls. We got a rumble room for all the project managers, and so we've just done it's more of a inspirational environment than the typical construction.
Go figure you doing that, eh? An inspirational environment.
I see. I need to come work for you, big dog.
Yeah, Charleston's going to come out there to Alberta because you got all of Alberta, right?
Totally. Yeah, you should. That's why I asked you. You move out to Calgary. Yeah, you come work with us. Be an owner.
Yeah, no problem. But yeah, this is the Better with Age webcast, man. And the reason we call it the Better with Age webcast because there's many things that get better with age. There's wine, there's whiskey. I don't think beer gets better with age. Does beer get better with age? What do you think?
Up to a year.
Yeah. Up to a year, beer gets better with age. But sometimes that's all you need to take it down.
There you go.
But out of all those things, the most important of them all is friendships, man. So I'm glad you came on the show. You've told us your great story and how you've overcome, the highs and the lows and how you bounce back and become a real successful businessman and motivation for, other football players for life after football. And that's a great thing, man. So thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for, telling your story to our viewers, our listeners, our watchers, like everybody across Canada and North America. We got people all the way from the East Coast to the West Coast. I feel like I'm about to start rapping, but I'm not. Don't worry about it.
Thanks, Graeme, for everything, and I'll have a beer waiting for you one day soon when you're next here in Regina.
Totally, guys. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Ciao.